In this video, I'm gonna talk about trailer editing. All you need to know about editing trailers. Who am I? I'm Johnny von Wallström, and my last film, The Pearl of Africa, sold to Netflix. This channel is all about documentary filmmaking, so if you're new around here, consider subscribing. But now, let's start the show. I thought I would run through a little bit about different types of editing of trailers and the various kinds that I usually do, first of all, but drop questions in the chat or comment if you watch this later, what you think is a good trailer, or what types of trailers that you think are good to do if you're a documentary filmmaker. But first of all, why would you need a great trailer? That's the main question, right? I think that the thing that you're experiencing today as a filmmaker is that people don't listen to what you have to say unless you have their attention. And a trailer is great for that, to get somebody's attention. So for me, it's mainly about attention grabbing. And that means that you can kind of look at a story that you have and just ignore certain things. Let me just get myself promoted here on Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, come follow on Instagram. So, check. But anyway, it's also a thing that people use as a filter, because you see so much crap today, online, random stuff in life, whatever. So to filter things out, trailers are great for that. And I think that comes to not only consumers, audiences, in terms of watching a film. It's the same if you pitch something, if you're trying to sell something, it's the same. People use it as a filter in order for people to navigate all the stuff that is coming their way. So think about it in that way as well. But also, anybody will give a project a chance for maybe 15 to 30 seconds. So those first 30 seconds are pretty crucial. I would say even the first 5 seconds or whatever are crucial, because that's when most people click away on YouTube. But it kind of depends on what, certain people don't want to watch it. They are never gonna be turned on by your project, so then maybe they're not worthwhile kind of adapting towards. And then the last thing about why they are great to do is because they can go viral. That's something that's really difficult. I would say that most trailers that you see on YouTube have bought views. Just like any ad, people buy views for them. And that makes it a little bit hard to kind of judge projects, how well they are doing, because people buy views or they promote it as an ad or something. So if you want organic growth, maybe not look at the big videos that you see out there from big distributors, for instance. But that's just my thoughts on why it's great to do a trailer. Let me know in the comments what you think is great trailers. And then the various trailers that exist, I'm just doing this from a documentary filmmaker type of perspective. So what types of trailers do I see in that line of work? And I would say the first one that you can make without having shot anything, if you're trying to pitch a project, for instance. People use ripomatics, which is basically just ripped works, other people's films, that you edit together to tell a story, your story. So it's a movie trailer, but it's based on somebody else's work, just to show you how the project will be, or for you to show them how the project will be to pitch it. And this is something that's common in Hollywood, where you pitch big studio execs, and you base it on that type of trailer thinking that you have in general trailers, but you just take all the works from different films to put together a story that's sellable. So you use that to pitch, and then you might get a go-ahead to start develop a project or that type of thing. And connected to that is a sizzle reel. And that's where we're at pretty much with our film. A sizzle reel, I would say, can be the same, but it can also be stuff that you've shot. So for instance, if you do a documentary and you shot like we have in Kino, you've shot for 3 days like we did, then you have some materials. You put together like a trailer that kind of shows the scope of the project and the narrative of the project, and it's similar to a Rippomatic, but you sometimes base it on your own material. So it's just to sell a project, for instance, a pitch trailer of some sort. But then for pitching forums, you have a different type of like pitch trailer, which is something totally different, because it can be like 1 minute or 3 minutes, and usually it's just about like showing that you have access maybe to people and showing like the story that you have. So it can't be as, I would say, as far away from being shot. Like a Rippomatic or a Sizzle Reel could be you not shooting anything. But I would say a pitch trailer, there's like a really win to have shot something, to have like that as a, it kind of gives the funders or whatever you're talking to a little bit more trust in you. And then we have like the regular trailers. That's like a film trailer, right? That's a simple thing that anybody can relate to, I would think. So I don't think you need to like say that much about it, more than it has genres as well. So it can be different if it's comedy or if it's like drama or, you know, horror or whatever. And the teasers are probably what you would still do, but you might think of it as more the social media type of trailers. Like previously you had teasers as well, but now I think the teaser type is more something that you use on social media. And then like the last one that I thought that I would just like talk a little bit about is like a crowdfunding trailer, which we have just done. So that's kind of, it's easy for us to talk about, or me to talk about, because we just did it. And I mean, the big difference with a crowdfunding trailer is that it's more about you as a filmmaker, and it's more about you as the team than it is about the story. At least like the campaign that we're doing now on Kickstarter is much more like catered towards like, how do we help you guys that want to learn filmmaking and give you the tools to do that by doing a documentary where we show you how to make a documentary. So the trailer is focused on that rather than the story, but we do touch on like what film we're making, but it's irrelevant, I think, in terms of what we're trying to fundraise for. So you need to think about that, like who is the target group and why would they kind of try to fund you. Yeah, but let me know if you think about any other types of trailers, because there's so many like various types of trailers. So if you want me to talk about some other type, let me know as well, comment. But yeah, where do you start with the trailer, like of any sort? I think in a way, a trailer, like a traditional trailer, is usually like a condensed version of the film, but you don't want to give away like spoilers or anything. So in general, like Act 1 and 2 is probably the ones that you should take stuff from, but you should take the best out of the long film and put it into that trailer. But you have to kind of think about like not spoiling things. But usually Act 1 is kind of the setup for the film. Act 2 is where like all the action and conflict happens, and then like Act 3 is more of a resolution and spoiler thing. So I would say like the two first acts, like try to focus on those. But you should kind of evaluate what the story is. So for instance, like what makes it unique, you should focus on that. Like what is unique about this film that you're making? Does it have like interesting dialogue, Tarantino? Does it have great cinematography or style? Like what is that then? How do you show that off? The performances or like the intimacy in the documentary, for instance, like how do you pull that off in a good way? Show character, for instance, in a good way. Those things are super important. And like the locations, is there any like stunning visuals there that you can use? All those things that are merits you should think about including and building up into something special and unique. I think that's super important. Yeah, I'm gonna talk. I got some comment here from Mr. Vipiris. What about music? I'm gonna talk about that because I have a thought about the music. But what I thought I would do in this video is like show you 3 trailers as well, and then like deconstruct them. How, what was the intent and how did we make them? That type of thing. So let me know like what types of trailers you want me to talk about. But I'm gonna start by showing like the crowdfunding trailer and try to deconstruct that and what was the intent with it and why did we shoot it in the way we did, and like what was the reasoning, because we had a BTS person while we shot in Kino. We had a BTS person that only shot that because we knew we wanted to do the web series but also a crowdfunding campaign. So for us it was important to plan that, so we couldn't just like come up with that afterwards, especially because Maddie is in Toronto and I'm in Stockholm, so it would not be practical at all. So that was like a reasoning that we had to do before we went there and try to like plan out something. But let me just show it to you and then I can like talk about how it was made.
There's so many mosquitoes.
Flight got canceled, so plan B.
Making a documentary is hard. This is why we're making a free behind-the-scenes series, to give you a real exclusive insight into how a feature film is made. Like everything that has been able to go wrong has gone wrong.
What would you do if you saw a bear coming out of here right now?
Okay, getting out in 3 hours. You should probably come with us. Good morning, sir. I dropped my phone, broke that screen. They wouldn't check our luggage.
Did you see that sign? It said Grizzly Valley.
Yes! Hello! How happy am I? My name is Johnny von Wallström. My last film, The Pearl of Africa, premiered in Toronto and later sold to Netflix. Right now I'm working on my new feature film together with my friend Maddie Hapoya. Maddie is a world-acclaimed DOP, and you might know him from his YouTube channel.
I started filmmaking just because it was super fun, and I learned everything through the internet. But there came a point where I needed to see how other people did their filmmaking process, and that's really what this is for you guys. You guys can come along and watch as we go through this crazy process of making a full-length feature doc.
Some people call us hippies, call hillbillies, dirty, but we live here. This is our home, and we look after it for everyone.
We're making a film about a faded gold rush town called Kino City, with a population of 20. These not so upright nor outstanding citizens are forced to get along, or risk killing the city for good. We actually got a meeting with an agent and I didn't know that much about like who it was, or Will Smith, Scorsese, Spielberg, all those. And I'm going there in shorts and yeah, my Hawaii shirt. Why not? Through short videos as well as live streams, we'll show you how we shoot, edit and sell the project. Along the way, we give you our best tips and tricks on how you can take your filmmaking to the next level.
Bear spray and the knife on top of the truck. Because as silly as this might seem,
we've included courses, lessons, meetings, and even one-on-one consultations. So help us make our film. In return, we'll help you make yours, or just help you become a better filmmaker.
And I think it's a really cool opportunity, not only for us to make something and tell a story, but also for you guys to come along and yeah, learn with us.
What's the best thing to do when you meet a bear?
bears have a different language than people. So in order to communicate with a bear, I would recommend urinating immediately on the spot. Then I would turn your back and run.
Be a part of a documentary about how a documentary is made. So this is like a little bit different than when we would do like a regular trailer. I'm gonna show you like our trailer for Pearl of Africa and kind of talk about that. Both like a pitch trailer and that we did before we had shot everything, and then a trailer that was like the final trailer. But what we wanted out of this crowdfunding campaign was to kind of, first of all, show like a feeling of this being a playful series. It's like it's a film that could be serious. It doesn't really matter because like the way we want to make it is playful. So we wanted to show that off in like the dynamics between me and Maddie and also Chris, who's like not a beer guide for real, but like just show a fun experience of actually following us along as we make this film. Because it felt like that is a sales point in itself, to just like hang along, watch as we make this feature film. So that was something that we wanted to be like the general feeling of the whole trailer. So I don't know if you think that like comes across, but that was like the intent, and to have it like entertaining and also feeling of like being with a unique access for you as you watch it. And then we also wanted to show you like, okay, this is a real image of what it's like working as a professional in the industry. So to show you the different aspects of being like on location, but also being, for instance, pitching in Hollywood, showing like those different aspects, that this is like a big scope. It's not just going out with a film camera. It's like more than that. And we also wanted our personalities to come across. Just because that's like what you're funding actually, it's the people, right? So you need to get those people through in the video. And that's not the same when you do like a regular trailer. In a way you want to show off character, but mainly you want to show off the story. This was more about like showing the story behind the story. So it's something very different. But I think like as a trailer, doing a crowdfunding trailer is like really hard, because it has to be like informational and has to have like tempo in it, but it's just like something that you're talking about like as a project, so it's not a story in itself, but we tried to like build up a story around the film, and I hope we succeeded with that. But and then the focus in itself, because it's a crowdfunding campaign, is for instance what can we give you, the audience, which is like the perks that we talk about, like what can we offer, like the courses, So it's important to include those things when you're doing a trailer like that. So in a way it's more like doing a vlog and a sales pitch type of thing in the same thing, which can be kind of hard to balance, because you don't want it to be pushy, but you want it to be like something that people care about. So I think that's what we really aimed for. And I don't know if that's something that like comes across, but I wanted to show that before we show the other ones, because it's something different to do it only about the story. Okay, so what should you think about? Like I have a couple of things that you should think about. You should only use the best of the best. That I think is really important. Because like in a trailer, it's just being lazy to not just take the best parts. Because everything should be like top notch. That's what I see when I watch a film and I'm like super nerdy about cinematography, and then I see a trailer and I'm just like, wow, this is like this dope cinematographer. And then I watch the film and then I'm just like any other documentary, they try to show too much. It's not a perspective type of thinking. It's more like showing, okay, 2 people talking, 3 people talking, all of them are visible. It's not a perspective type of thinking. So it's not like ace cinematography, in my opinion. So in a trailer though, you can actually do that, even though if the film isn't that. So really like capture the style and just show the best of the best. And then like prioritize the first half of the film, because that's not giving any spoilers away, and it's usually like the setup, and the second act will be like more conflict driven, so it's a good part of the film to use. And then also like understand the format. So if you look at the crowdfunding campaign compared to a regular trailer, you will see that the format can be so different, and you need to think about it totally different. Because most people that do a crowdfunding campaign or a trailer for the crowdfunding campaign would do it more towards like fund our film type of thinking. And we really thought about like, how do we actually like create something that people actually want and don't have to like oversell it. But go and donate though over here. Kickstarter link. in description. Yeah, but anyway, like you need to think about that. The format that works on the audience, what is the best for them, and also like platform-wise, is it like Facebook or is it the cinema, or where do you watch it? But like talking about the music for a sec, we didn't do that in this one, but in general, I like the idea of like, there's a philosophy floating around in like trailer editing circles about like using 3 music cues. And this is like both catering towards the 3-act structure. So you should use like 3 different music cues in a trailer to set the pace and tone of things. So maybe there's one in the beginning, and then there's like another one in the middle, and then there's one in the end. Just to like push the momentum forward and have a tempo and pacing that is more like a film, and you feel like there's something evolving throughout the trailer. I think that could be non-music as well. It could be sound design or something, but I think we're talking about a tempo shift that's needed. So you need to like take music away or just change it in order to get a dynamic feel in a trailer. So just having it run throughout a whole trailer, I think that kind of, in the end, it takes away the impact of the music. It just like becomes something in the background that you stop thinking about. So if you want emotions to happen, you need to like switch it up and work with it. Yeah, but don't go overboard and do like 5 music cues or anything. It's just like keep it simple, but think about how you change the dynamics, because that creates more impact. And then also like get to the goodies straight away. Like you have to hook the audience. It's super important. Okay, so let me check some questions here before I go on. Oh, no sound. What? Man, did I go on for that long without sound? How is it even possible? Sorry. Damn it. Okay, now we have sound. So I'll just do this again then. So if you're watching this afterwards, sorry again. Okay, so I guess you didn't hear anything I said about the crowdfunding trailer, right? Nothing. Let me know if you heard nothing. Okay, so, okay, sorry. I'm gonna upload this as a separate one then. Anyway, so the crowdfunding trailer, we wanted to be playful. We wanted it to be entertaining. We wanted it to be unique. We want to capture like our personalities. That was super important. So contradictory to like a regular trailer, we wanted it to feel more like you're going on this unique journey with us, the filmmakers. And that felt like super important to focus on because that was what we were trying to do. And I think most of the time you don't think of a trailer in that sense, that you're trying to tell a different story. Like you have to look at the format and the purpose of the film. Are you trying to make a trailer for instance, that we were making for the crowdfunding campaign? If you're making a trailer that's like for one purpose, the film, you have to throw that away when you're making a trailer. You need to think about it in a different way. Because we could have made a trailer for the crowdfunding campaign that was only a trailer that was for the film and like fund this film. But we thought about like what was the most important thing for us and for the audience, and that was filmmaking, like empowering filmmakers. So then we thought about like how do we show and give people a real image of the film industry. So that was the intent with the whole film, to show like our personalities going through this battle with the film industry, trying to make this film and all the chaos and like quirkiness and fun stuff that happens, but also like the hard work and showing like the scope from on location in the wilderness to Hollywood, like all those different aspects. Trying to capture that in like an entertaining and playful way. That was the intent. I don't know if that came across or whatever. Nothing still. But there is audio here. What? Let me check. To Hollywood. There is audio. What? Okay, now I got it. Sorry. Just saw an old comment. So I'm back. Anyway, like I was thinking about like what you should think about, and I have a couple of things that you should really like think about if you want to make a trailer. First of all, you should only use the best of the best. And it's often that I see a trailer, for instance, that especially in like doc world, that's like promising this amazing cinematography. And then you watch the film and you realize that most people just shoot like if it's 3 people talking or so you see all of them. I think that you can easily like come across as having a dope style even though you don't have it in the film. So, but that is what you should do. You should try to sell it by creating that strong visual style in this trailer. Maybe the wishful thinking in terms of like, okay, I wanted my film to be this way, but I couldn't, or I don't know. But you have to put the best of the best in because you want people to at least give the film a chance. That's the intent. And I would prioritize like the first half of the film. So the first act where you have the setup and then more of the conflict and the action that goes on in the middle act. And then the last one I would probably not do much if it isn't like good production value type of stuff, but I wouldn't try to get much of the story from there because it could spoil the film. But you need to understand the format, especially if you're doing stuff that are the different scopes, so like crowdfunding trailer, regular trailer. It's so like different in terms of what type of trailer you're making in terms of purpose and format. It's different as well if you're doing like for Instagram or if you're doing for YouTube or if you're doing for cinema. So you need to look at the format and you need to really think about the audience that will watch it in that format or whatever it is that you're trying to make. Because if you don't make it different, you won't get people interested and involved. So for the crowdfunding campaign, it had, in my at least like understanding of crowdfunding, it has to be like playful and as funny as it can be, just because that works better. So look at like the purpose and where you're going to try to get it to work, and go from there. And then like regarding the music cues, for instance, usually like people talk about having 3 music cues in trailers. So that comes down to like 3 different songs. It could also be like 3 different parts in terms of like sound design, but having those dynamic shifts 3 times, like it becomes 2 times, but anyway, like 3 parts, just like a 3-act structure within a trailer, to get a feeling of like it moving forward and to get a break from like one thing to another, to have the pacing and the whole feel of the drama and all that going on, that it changes. Because if you have the same song running out throughout the whole video, you're gonna stop thinking about it and it's gonna lose its value. So to think about it in a different way, you could also just take like the music away and get a similar type of feeling. But I think when you use the 3 music cues, because this is like a general thing that people talk about when they talk about trailer editing, but if you use that like 3 music cues, or 2 at least, to have that shift, something happens when that shift happens. So you could start a trailer off like slow, and then you could have like a fast pace coming at the end of a trailer. But I think that shift is needed, and it's not enough that the song in itself like takes off or something. It has to be like a major shift, in my opinion at least. And then like the last thing that I want to point out is you have to, you really have to like get to the goodies straight away. So I'm gonna ruin the audio once more, show you a different trailer, the Pearl of Africa, and I'm gonna talk about how that was made. This is like a film trailer. So this was the trailer that we made after the film was done. We'd had the premiere in Toronto, and then we made a new trailer as we were going to IDFA for a European premiere in Amsterdam. So after that, I'll show you a pitch trailer, which was much earlier, like a couple of years earlier, which we used for just like pitching at film markets. But this time I won't ruin the audio, I promise.
I wake to the touch of the morning light. You lie next to me. Beneath, I'm feminine and free. But as I step out of my dream, I wake to this body and carry on through hell.
Thousands of anti-gay protesters demonstrate in Uganda in support of a bill proposing life imprisonment for homosexuals.
On Friday, the week the bill was passed, I was on the front page of the Red Paper, and several of my family members, fearing for their safety, have since abandoned me. This feels better. It's more fun.
Yesterday my bolts were hard.
The mic is on.
So I was thinking I should get the chat up on this screen next time, because this gets messed up. Because I have to look down to see what you're writing, and that's why I get off. Anyway, that was the trailer we did for the Pearl of Africa. And with that one, because we had a lot of action things that you could actually do to kind of sell the story in a more like action tone type of way. But we wanted to separate the project from the other films that were being made about the topic. So we wanted it to be more about the love story than about like LGBTQ rights. So we focused like on earlier trailers that we did was much more focused on like the conflict in itself. And then we kind of went more towards the love story and tried to make the unique angle of the film. So as much as we could. I think we should have done it even more now that I see it, but I think that that was like our learning curve as we were screening the film. We learned that, okay, the trailer shouldn't be this, it should be this. And I think that's what you can do if you try it on people. Usually a trailer will be like 2 minutes or 1 minute, or if you have a longer version, sure, but like 1 to 2 minutes is probably like an ideal length, 1.5-ish. If you don't have like this big blockbuster where you can have a lot of things happening, then maybe you can make it longer. But when we do like a pitch trailer now for Kino, we have it around 3-minute mark. And I think 3 minutes for a pitch trailer is pretty good. But for a trailer when it's going out with people's low retention and attention span, it's kind of hard. Yeah, so that was one thing. We really wanted to show that love story. We wanted to show like the cinematic quality that the film has. So that also sets it apart from other films. And to have that unique access of like a conflict like this, but being shot in a pretty and intimate way, and have it be like this unique portrait of something that's like a moment where you don't usually have access. And we wanted to show like how the characters are really like lovable and funny and quirky and all that in this midst of like this conflict. It's actually a lighthearted and warm film. It's not like a depressing film in the end, but it is like, it's a serious film when you watch it, but it has these turnarounds. And we also wanted to introduce like the conflict that they're facing. So it was important to get some type of threat in there, which is like the law in Uganda, which threatens like LGBTQ people, but We didn't want that to take over. So we didn't want to make it political. We tried to keep all that out as much as we could, but still wanted to have like the conflict in there, because otherwise people, why would they care or know that something is at stake? So think about like the conflict in itself, what's the essence of it, and what do you want to show? And then we wanted to use like the laurels and the quotes that we had from stuff that mattered to just like amp the whole story. I don't know, what do you think about like our thinking? Did it come across like that, or was it did you even think about it? I know there was a comment about the pink that added. That's good. We tried to match that over the whole project. So we had like pink being the color of the project, so that's why we used it. I think in terms of like the silicone implant shot is some of the best in the whole movie. It's not, for me, it's not like what is best. It's one of the best moments because it's such a real moment where you have this unique access, and it's a funny moment in between them. So that's the reason why it's there. It's a different thing to see like, okay, is this the most beautiful image? No, definitely not. But is it a real moment in between them? Yes. So you want to capture those things as well, and you need to think about like what you're saying with the images that you're showing. So it's more about like showing this lighthearted type of film than it is about showing the conflict. There's so much of like that stuff in the film, and it's more like a dialogue-driven film with them just hanging out. So it doesn't have a fast pace when they're hanging out, but it's still like this soothing hanging out with them feeling. That doesn't really work in a trailer, but it works really good in the film. So you need to get like the parts that actually like make sense for the trailer. Let me see. What about the graphics? Do you put work on that, or is it just an approach to the movie? Like usually things evolve during the project, I think. We usually have a certain idea from the beginning of what it will be, but it usually evolves. I think if you have the time and all that, look at other like references and try to find a style or have a graphic designer for your project. I usually do it myself, but yeah, it just comes down to what you like. If you do a lot of like graphic design, then fine, but otherwise like there's so many graphic designers out there that are really good. So just like think about like what you like and look at those references and try to like set up a style from the beginning, I think. Because when you do, for instance, pitch decks and you do all these development project stages type of thing, you do a lot of that at that stage. So you start like developing the whole concept for a film early on, and then once you have that like pitch deck, you have a look for the film and a tone for the film. I'll go into that more in detail another time, but usually that's how I think the graphic design comes to us. It's more like something that we try as we're pitching things, and then eventually it like comes into a trailer, but you need to kind of rework it, but there's just a general feel to it that works. Yeah, you should always have a track before you edit. But sometimes, like the crowdfunding trailer, I think we used the same one from the beginning, but for I think all our course trailers that we've done, we probably changed the music like probably 5 times before we found the right one. So it's a big thing to have the right music. Sometimes you don't nail it in the beginning and you have to like re-edit everything, because you can't just like switch it out and it works. You need to re-edit everything to that music. I think that's like a good thing to have if you can find a song, but sometimes you realize once you've done it that it's not as powerful as you wanted, or it's too cliche, or yeah, something like that. But then I think it's more important than the music from the beginning is to have all the audio from the beginning. To have like not just the music, have also all the words, everything that's being said. Edit that first before you edit the picture, because that's like gonna set the pace and the story narrative of a trailer. I think that's the way that goes the quickest as well to do. But let me just show you the trailer that we did for Sheffield Dockfest, where we pitched the Pearl of Africa. So this was probably like 1.5 years before the film was done, or 2 years even. And this is like a 1-minute trailer, I think. And it's only based to have like, okay, so the pitch markets are usually like a 15-minute pitch meeting where you sit down with somebody and then you pitch, like first you watch the trailer 1 minute and then you pitch your project. And then they say like, no, yes, give me your contact details. So it's like this informal type of meeting with some decision maker or contact of some sort. Usually it's like broadcasters and that sort of thing. So we made this trailer having shot, I guess for like, we hadn't shot anything in Thailand. We had shot, I think in Kenya maybe. I'll say that afterwards when I've seen it. But definitely in Uganda. So we used that to put together this trailer. But let me just show you.
I was born here. A land with beautiful mountains and deep dark forests. In all its richness, our people have left all this for dead.
We shall have a war with the homosexual lobby in the world.
For the past month and a half, we have been living behind a closed gate, closed windows, sleeping on a very down low. People go hungry for days, and if the mob doesn't get them, the hunger and the lack of access to antiretrovirals will surely kill them. For many of my friends, it's a solo fight. It's hard, but at least I have my notes on.
I think that was Kenya and Uganda, yeah. So we had shot, I guess, halfway into the project, and we made that one. We had a lot of pitch trailers before that as well. But as you can see, that one is much more like the conflict and everything. I don't know, for me, like I think that's, in one sense, it's a better trailer for me. Like it works better on me. I don't know what you say, but that's just because like it's more like dramatic and driven, and I think that works most of the time. But because we got the film out in a time when like there was so much talk about the Uganda conflict between like gay rights and all that, so we just wanted to separate ourselves from that. So that's why the trailer became much more about the love story than like the whole road movie type of action conflict type of thing. Yeah. I think like in a different session I'm definitely gonna do like more practical editing, but this one I thought just looking at like the theory of it all, like how do you actually construct like the idea of doing a trailer, because there's so many things that you need to think about, because they're like, if I just look at the building blocks, for instance, that's what I thought this like whole live session would be about, like figuring all that out. But we got this question here, let me see. Should you shoot footage for the trailer instead of using clips from the movie? I think that it can depend on like where you're at. Sometimes, like for instance, I don't know if you guys have seen Cartel Land, but when Netflix bought Cartel Land, I think they gave them like 50K or something just to go shoot the trailer. And the trailer is so freaking good, and it gets you to really want to see the film. I'm not sure what footage it is that they use, but I would guess it's the drone stuff or something. And that's such a vital part of the film as well, and the aesthetics of the feature film, So I would think that that really made it into like a more cinematic and dope film, because it was probably just the visceral stuff that you have on the border and everything before that. But I'm not sure, that's just me guessing. But I know that they got like a big chunk of money to go shoot the trailer. So sometimes you do that. For other people that don't have the budget that they had, you would have to do with what you have. And I think that sometimes like the Rippomatic can make sense if you can make it really good. But for docs, it's so easy to go out and shoot. So I would prefer to shoot until you have a good trailer to do. It just makes more sense to me. What's the difference between a film and a documentary trailer when you think about what you want to show the viewer and what you don't want to show? Like there's a huge difference. You need to look at what the purpose is. So like the building blocks usually are this: have a purpose with the film or the trailer, like you would have it for both, I guess. But it's important to remember the purpose of the trailer. Like, why are you making that one? It's definitely not to tell the story that you have in the film. It's to get people to go and want to watch it. And you do that by like emotionally engaging them and making it memorable for them. So when you have that purpose, it can be similar for the film, but it's definitely done in two very different ways. And another thing is like the rhythm and structure that you really need to think about. Like trailer editing is like all about rhythm. To get all the dynamics going by having like the right rhythm and the ups and downs, to have like a flow in what's being said and the action. Like it's so jam-packed with stuff, then it works the best. And I think that's super important, to kind of find the right pace for your story. Because you're going to have a totally different story if it's the film you're editing or if it's the trailer you're editing. But find the essence of like the story that you're telling in the feature film, and then try to condense that into those like couple of lines that you need to kind of cut out, and then put that as narration for the trailer, and then you try to build from that, I think. To have the essence of that and build out, like if you have more stuff to add in terms of what's being said, but have like a baseline of what's being said first. And you also need to like strike the right tone straight away. So just like look at the type of audience you're trying to engage and try to like put them in the place that you are in the film straight away. So just make it as visceral as it can be for them from frame one. And that goes just in like both music, it goes the sound design and the images, the characters, the scenes, like everything. Just find the best stuff that emphasizes the story. And then I think also like today, in today's age, use subtitles, definitely. That's super important if you do social stuff. It really, if you have a fast-paced trailer, it can help to get people more like understand more, because it's easier when you have fast paced to actually read and get some like words as you go along. But simplify the subtitles if you do that. But think about it as it's like an own film, not different film than you're making. That's why it's good to have a separate editor sometimes. When you have somebody from the outside, which you should have somebody that's more like on the marketing side as well, have some opinion, rather than just you trying to tell your story and editing that. Because you need to separate yourself from the film that you're making in order to do a trailer. So either do that, it's very hard, you need probably experience to be able to do it, but otherwise get somebody in that can help you with it, to get like outside feedback, that somebody that isn't as biased in the story. And as we said before, like start with the sound. If you start with the sound and then build from there, it's easier. It's easier to get to the core of what you're trying to do, and then it's easy to pace it from that. And then like to get to that place where you have the sound be like a base of it, while you're going through the material, break out stuff that works well for the trailer. So as you're logging and organizing your project, just take stuff that works good. Oh, this is good for a trailer. Put that away and save it. And try to organize and break down dialogue and footage that's good trailer material. Do that early on so that it's easier for you to find the stuff when you do the trailer. And then, like as I said, like create a style. Super important. That's like how it differs from like a feature film, that you look at these like building blocks and then you try to build the trailer from there. It's like super hard to distance yourself from your own film, but with time you will be able to do it pretty easily, I think. For me, it doesn't make sense to have like another editor do it, but I have to have a different opinion than my own, and people that aren't like just storytellers have opinions. Like you need somebody that focuses on marketing. For us, it's Andre that does that, so he will say like, no, the song isn't working. Then I need to find a different song. So it's that type of feedback that you need. Otherwise, you'll make a trailer and you put it out and you realize it doesn't work. Yeah. And I think that you really need to think about like, how do you create the dynamics that are, because if you look at the pacing and everything, you need to take away stuff in order for it to have like a building up towards the end, for instance. So if you start off probably fast-paced and get people into the story, then you need to take that away and slow it down for you to be able to speed it up in the end again and have some push as you go out. So I would think about it in a way of having like, okay, something like fast, get people into the story, like action-based, and then like just break that apart, get to the reality and just people and not so much music, and then just go on again with the music and try to build up an epic ending. That would be like the ideal structure that I would see. And then that depends on the story, how it would be. Let me see. Did the movie attitude evolve in between making both trailers? Movie attitude, how? I'm wondering. I think it... I guess how long should the average doc trailer be? Josh is asking. I think that I said 1 to 2 minutes. I think probably like 1.5 minutes is what I think, but like 1 to 2 minutes ish. All right, so let me see. Should you let? Okay, this one I answered. I think social media average length of videos and formats should rethink how we create trailers. Maybe now it's a good idea to make several 15 to 30 seconds instead of 2 to 3 minute trailers. Damian Reyes asked that. I think I thought about this one today. For like movie trailers that go on YouTube, or for trailers, because this is something, if you think about the algorithm on YouTube, like if you deploy SEO tactics and you have a trailer that is really strong and something like that, having it be several trailers doesn't make sense to me, because you want it to get as much attention as you can in the short amount of time as possible, so that the algorithm takes over and the organic growth will kind of grow with that. That would be like my way of thinking if you want to do something that takes off on YouTube. But if you look at it in like, okay, I have money, I have distribution money and all that, which you might have if you have like a big distribution company, then it's probably better to put ads, I guess, and then it's something different. But then if you go to a different platform like Instagram or Facebook, then it totally makes sense to do that teaser thinking, like 15 to 30 seconds. And actually I think that we should probably do that much more than we do. We want to do that, but I think it's just like you have to balance, like those videos that you put out, the short ones, they don't really get as much attention and engagement as the longer ones. Like even the 1.5 minute trailers doesn't make sense to me, because by doing this channel, you'll probably get more attention towards your film if you do a channel like this with lower production value and lower, like not even being a trailer, just being like offering value, would probably get you more attention to your trailer if you would put it in the description or push it somehow. So I don't know if it's like, is trailers even worthwhile, would be my thinking as well. Because it is if you have money and you want it to be like, trailers usually are the stuff that if I go on YouTube and have commercials, I pay for it, so I don't anymore. But usually when I did it before, I would usually get stuck in a trailer if it's good. So I'm guessing that most people do that, but they don't watch the ads. While a trailer actually can get you to watch to the end. So in that sense, of course it's effective if you look at it that way. But then you need ad money, and that kind of makes it hard for like indie filmmakers to actually have any advantage of it. Yeah, I think that's like a big issue. Like, where are you making it? Who are you making it for? How is it gonna be like promoted? Like, there's so many things you can't really say like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. It totally depends on like the purpose and the platform and all that. So like, to like put it in context, it comes down to like the strategy that you have, where you think it will work the best. But I would question the trailer thinking, because I don't think you can make a regular doc trailer go viral on YouTube. I just think that if you do that, or if you look at one that has, it's either somebody that has paid for it, like paid for ads, or they've paid for views or something. Or it's like this big, yeah, that's probably paid ads then, but a big campaign that a big distribution company or something have done. Because the stuff that you get from having a lot of PR, because we've had like tons of PR, and it doesn't really translate into views. So getting like this big PR campaign going and all that, that's not enough. For a trailer to take off on YouTube, you would need to have the algorithm push you to viral success. And a trailer won't do that if it isn't like these other circumstances, like the timing, or like the subject, all those things has to like come into place. Maybe if it's this like a Blackfish, if you've watched that film, if it's that type of urgency type of film where people talk about it almost in like a Blair Witch Project type of way, if you get a trailer like that, maybe then it will take off on its own, but I don't think so much. I think that you need to think about it more like long-term thinking, like we do with the channel, and have a channel that actually promotes your work rather than having just a trailer. Because it's just that one-off thinking, which is like contradictory to this whole thing. I think about like trailers are great if you think about it in like, okay, now I've made a film, then I talk to you, the audience, okay, watch this, and then some of you will go watch it and some won't. That trailer is what makes the difference towards your audience. But to other people, I think that there's such a big shift going on now that if you don't have money, it's so freaking hard to get people to actually go and watch the film from that trailer. But of course, like if Netflix, for instance, had trailers in their, in like my Apple TV, for instance, then it would be a totally different thing, because then I would watch that all the time, but they don't. So it kind of depends on what the purpose is and all that, which I come back to all the time here. Better to see a 1 minute of trailer than boring 3 minutes. Yeah, like totally, I think. It really comes down to having like this distance to your own film to be able to see like what can you do that's good. I think 1 minute to 1:30 is the sweet spot, really. Like, if you have just the intention of getting people to take the next step, to go watch it, 1 minute should be enough. Like, even 30 seconds should be enough to get people excited. So think about it in that way, I think. What's needed for them to take action? And having it 3 minutes probably can push people away. But if you pitch to people, it's something different, because they look for more of a promise of what the film is about, and they would think that like 30 seconds or a minute or even 2 minutes is too short to get that. So they would like to see, just because anybody can make a 1 minute good trailer, anybody can do that. But 3 minutes, it's a long time. It's easy to get bored, it's easy to lose interest. So when you can make a 3 minute trailer be good, then you know that like you have something. And that's the hard part, to be like objective to your things. Because I'm watching now, because we're making a trailer for pitching Kino. And that's like, is it 3 minutes? I think it's about 3 minutes or something. And it has to be that length. And then we have to make like a 10 or 12 minute version as well for pitching. So those versions are different. Like the first one is like a teaser version of the story, and the other one is like the big promise of what this is about. Now, we have only shot 3 days, so making a trailer off of that material is a big risk, I think. So I would think that we could make a 12-minute version, but it would probably not be as good as if we just went there one more time and then did it. But the 3-minute version we can definitely do from our 3 days there. So if you're doing a trailer, think about how much time you need to shoot your thing. Shoot that, try to get it out there and get to the next step. And then like let it grow with like that trailer. Like we usually get to the trailer stage, apply for funding, and then get to the next step and next step. Like all those things, like they evolve step by step. So first step is get that first trailer done to be able to pitch it, and then try to get a little bit of funding, and then go and shoot the next stage. And like when I talk about funding, it could be crowdfunding, or it could be your mom, or it could be anything. But try to get some funding and try to get like to that stage first, and then like baby steps, next stage. Then when the film is done, you will reevaluate your whole thinking, because you need to put like a marketing plan and all that together and have a distribution strategy, and the trailer need to come from that as well. So ours changed. Like we had a different trailer coming out with the web series for the Pearl of Africa. That was much more like the last one that you saw, the pitch trailer, and then it totally changed for the feature, because we wanted to kind of separate ourselves from the rest of the stuff. So things just evolve. Let me check if I have some last question here before we go sleep. You should make a 3-minute trailer and prepare a 10-minute scene from the beginning to produce. I think, for me, I have a problem with this like scene thinking, because like you can put together a 10-minute scene, but is it really gonna like persuade somebody more than doing like a short film of 10 minutes? I think people want like as much as they can get, they want. We could do that, but is it the best way to sell it? That's what I'm questioning. I think that it's better to kind of let it be perfect in terms of like as perfect as can be. So not perfect really, but good enough. Like you have to have patience and let like that process evolve. So I might be able to put together like 5 or 7 minutes, but to put together 12 is almost twice as much, which would be so hard to have good pacing in. You could do it in a feature length pacing, and then I think it might work. But I'm questioning that people would be more sold on the project if we did that. Like for us, it makes sense to go one more time and then do it, but we'll see what happens, because now we're gonna send the trailer out soon to agents and stuff. So after that initial reaction, we'll see what happens, I guess, because like the conversation will be ongoing and all that. Yeah. Okay, so are there any good feature account for independent trailers here on YouTube? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Please do another live stream. I will soon. Sorry for the mess with the audio. Thanks for everybody that's stuck around. But yeah, I'm gonna do another like trailer session where I go more into like editing. But I think, I don't know if I do. Do you want me to do that? Comment below before I do editing a scene from Kino, because that was what I was thinking about doing next in Resolve. Just going through like how I pace a scene and how I kind of edit the whole scene. Should I do trailer first or editing a Kino scene first? Let me know. Otherwise, see you soon. New video in Hollywood, actually, I think. So yeah, bye bye guys.